there's a view that development and defence should be seen as two sides of the same coin, and talking about it in isolation is partly why we've got to the situation we're in. When we spoke to the previous permanent Undersecretary in November, he told us about the last Conservative government's cut to ODA from 0.7 to 0.5 and the impact that had on the soft power of the United Kingdom. And he told us that the ODA cut under the previous Conservative government had given the impression that we were an unreliable partner. Does that same risk exist now because it's been cut further and we've reduced it to 0.3%? And what approach is being taken by the FCDO to mitigate that? What are the implications for our soft power?
I wonder if I could answer that first, Nick, but I might draw on you if I may. It is, the situation we're in is that this is not all about the UK, if I may say so, ma'am. The reality, as Nick was just touching on, is that the global international development system has changed and is more challenged. It's unrecognisable from 10 years ago, let alone 15 years ago. As we can talk about more if you're interested, that's about the way the multilateral system works. It's about the actions of other big donors. We'll still be in the top 5 over the next few years. We're not retreating entirely from that sort of work. But the reality, as Nick was just hinting at, is that the demand from our partners has changed as well. They're interested in UK expertise, they're interested in UK partnership, but the demand for bilateral aid programmes has changed. And so we are partly responding to changes in the rest of the world as well as to UK budgetary choices and pressures. But Nick, I don't know if you want to add to that.
The National Audit Office actually did a review on the last set of cuts from 0.7 to 0.5 and identified 3 core lessons from that review. So one was the speed of change was worked against value for money. The second was we didn't do enough consultation in country. And the third was cross-government. We weren't being as joined up as we could have been. And I would say the one lesson internally from the cut from 0.7 to 0.5, and the thing that our teams tell me all the time is absolutely killing them, is lack of predictability. They want predictability. They just say, I don't care what the budget is, just keep it consistent over the course of a couple of years and I can work with it.
How can they do that post-Trump?
Because
the American aid impacts the way in which we spend our aid, surely.
Clearly what is going on within the context in which they're operating, they are best placed to make the judgments on how to spend and allocate their resources. And our Minister's Baroness Chapman is very clear that she wants to give the teams in the country authority to decide how to spend the money and not just to micromanage it from the top, so that they can respond and be clear about how to respond to other decisions. But the main thing for me on this cut to 0.3 is, I mean, all the other cuts were either in year or with 4 months' notice. This is a cut that will come into effect in 27-28, in 2 years' time. So there's a glide path to 27-28. So this year, 25-26, is a transitional year. So we are basically continuing with our existing portfolio, but with a few tweaks around it. And I can explain that if you wish. But getting ready for reducing our budgets in future years. So this has been less of a sudden shift. It's been more planned and more predictable, and it actually gives us time to talk to our partners in country, and also has given us time to discuss with the rest of government how best to deploy the entire aid budget, not just our element of it, across the whole of these priorities that were laid out by ministers, and we have done that as part of the DSR.
Thank you. The consistency point rings true with what we were told by staff on the ground when we were in Jordan, and they were telling us the same thing. Just on the soft power point, do you think that this cut now to 0.3 is impacting our place in the world, the soft power ability that we have? Because your budget is shrinking and rightly you're prioritising different things, but soft power can also be so important.
It can, and I'm sure we'll come on to this, but we're thinking about soft power obviously in quite a broad way. Our development work, not just our development budget, is an important part of that, as are our NGOs, as is a lot of what the UK does in partner countries. but so are the contributions of our sporting sector, our creative sector, the British Council, the World Service, etc. So there are a lot of different things in the portfolio of British soft power, and we're delighted that independently we're still rated in the top 3 globally, and I think that will continue.
Can I just add on that? I mean, I think if we continue with the development programs that we had 10 years ago, even at 0.5, we would have eroded our impact and influence anyway because of that shift that's happening. We have to reset. And it was happening anyway, but it's just accelerating.